All right, I have a back for the episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is Friday, February 16th, 2024. If you've not done so already, please give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts. Analysis and live day trading. Anyways, let's get into it today. So, markets here, pretty eventful OPEX day. A lot of chop, a lot of whipsaw. We come to expect that, obviously. For an OPEX Friday monthly, we had PPI this morning. And again, confirming what CPI said, and that is that inflation is upticking. Now, there's, people saying, oh, it's just a one-off, it's just a one-off. Well, we've been kind of expecting inflation to uptick, anyway here. And I think that's confirming that we're seeing stagflation. But bottom line here for the markets, we did have a little bit of a weak sell pre-market. We actually scalped the low, actually to the penny on the futures. Then we kind of came back down in the market hours. We bounced back up right off of 5K. And then we actually made new highs here. And this is something that I tweeted out here, but another little wedge pattern, and the same one, by the way, that one from yesterday that I was talking about. I didn't see anybody else post that on my feed. And that's probably why it played out, because not a lot of people were looking at it. But that played out this morning and into the close, quietly played out into the close. But you're going to see here that another smaller one right here. If we can get that in, right there. So, and right around this time, there was 0DT gamma at 50-50, 50-60 all day long. And all of a sudden, right when we got to this top part of this wedge, all of a sudden they pulled that rug out. And those calls went, that call gamma went away, and has a little vacuum here to the downside, and that wedge played out very nicely. And guess where we're going to close? 5,000. Who could have seen that coming? Who could have seen that coming? So there we are. Anyways, let's get to the star of the day. Everybody's waiting. Everybody's here to see this. I have never, and I looked back at Tilray, I looked at Tesla, I even looked at NVDA going back to a few years ago. I looked at silver in 2011. I remember distinctly trading that. But I don't think I've seen a reversal candle like this before. This is like a 30% range here on SMCI, and it's doing it on record volume. I mean, who could have seen this coming, right? I mean, they have AI chips. How can this happen? So this morning, I'm like speechless here, seriously. This morning, we got up to 1079 or 1077.87. Who's counting at that point? And within 25 minutes, we had dropped 220 points. That is insane. That's literally a point. That's a percentage point a minute. That is ridiculous stuff here. Just unbelievable price action right now. By the way, MSOS getting a little spike here in the final 10 minutes. Wonder if that's about there, but I'll take a look at that. I'm just going to be covering the pot stocks a little bit more here. Going to try and do some special videos on that. Nice little spike there. But anyway, SMCI, not to derail everything. SMCI here at the 8 handle. This probably wants the 20 DMA. It doesn't mean it'll happen Monday. There's going to be some people who probably try to jump on short if we gap down Monday. So you could get a retrace. But I mean, this looks like a top if there ever was one. I mean, I have never seen that much of an outside. You engulfed 2 days, not one. And this was a gap up. I mean, we gapped up, let's see, 30 points from here to here. And you're still engulfing it. And you actually negated, we're basically going to close almost red if today were Wednesday, right? So this is Tuesday, so it's like unbelievable. By the way, take a look at the weekly. This is even more ridiculous. Oh, and by the way, who could have seen this coming with an RSI at 97 and a weekly RSI at 92.5? But take a look at the Bollinger Bands here. This is still completely outside. The whole candle is outside. And that is a confirmed, by the way, weekly topping tail, closing the lower 25% there with massive volume. So just a crazy, crazy move. This is why we love trading, right? Just these crazy moves. Now, here's the thing. NVIDIA has earnings on Wednesday. Jensen better deliver, because if this type of thing happens, and don't think it can't happen. NVIDIA has dropped 70% before, and it actually was not that long ago. It doesn't People don't realize this, but this is a 70% drop here. They now have a market cap of 1.8 trillion. The third biggest, it's bigger than Google now, because who cares about Google now? We have AI chips that can do whatever Google does, right? So Jensen better deliver. If they miss by a little bit, I mean, this is priced for perfection here. And I mean, if this comes back to 500, that's going to negate this whole rally in the S&P. So this is just kind of what happens when you have these euphoric moves. It creates kind of the systemic problem. But just wild stuff here. Now, again, to get over to the markets here and talk to the spiders, again, we're going to close at 5 bills, just about. I'm not going to make too much out of it. It's OPEX, right? So it's not a coincidence we're going to close at 5,000, right? So we don't want to say, oh, the bears came in and reversed it. It's a bearish reversal. I'm not going to get in there and say that right now. If you didn't think that closing at 5K was a possibility, you just, maybe you're new, but that's just kind of how it works when these, OPEX cycles expire. It's going to, a whole round number is going to act as a magnet. But, technically right now we have not taken out the high. I would have preferred for a bear case, as I've been saying the last 2 days. I would have preferred that 618 to hold 5K, and I would have at least preferred the 7.5 retrace to hold. That did not happen. So it's going to come down to NVIDIA earnings, and you can see those retraces right there. It's going to come down to NVIDIA earnings as to how this shakes out. Remember, Monday, no markets, just futures. We do have, President's Day here in the U.S. China will be back to trading, I believe, next week, though. But Tuesday, we'll see. Probably likely a pause day, and then Wednesday, the big boy, Jensen Huang, is gonna report. So that's gonna be the big deal here. But bottom line, let's take a look. Throw my lines back on here. There we go. A little bit of a rising wedge now starting to form. I did add a top side trend line to that. Again, just keep it on watch. But bottom line, I think the bulls are safe above this top or bottom trend line, and subsequently the 20 DMA there. Triple Qs also. I did edit my wedge here as well. Went a little bit farther back. I like this pattern. I like how this bottom trend line coincides with the 20 DMA. So if we do take that out, we're probably in correction mode. But right now, again, we won't make too much out of OPEX today here. IWM here inside day, so down 1.35 after the big move yesterday. Nothing really terrible. Weekly still looks pretty good. I like how you've got a nice tail candle here, and it's definitely firmed up, but we did back off of 205, so a little bit of a softer close. At yesterday's close was obviously way stronger, but this weekly pattern's okay. You're above those moving averages now, and it's holding up, so we'll give it the benefit of the doubt for now. But it did come back in today, and again, we'll leave it there. Diamond here down 40 basis points. Don't make too much out of that. Right now, the SMH was up a lot more earlier, and then that came back in. So down 91 cents here. Market's closing in about a minute. Again, tightening range. Just keep an eye on it. Again, NVIDIA basically is the SMH, and NVIDIA is the market at this point too. So we'll just kind of defer until they come out with earnings. IGV down 1 3/4. So again, weakness today. This was weak yesterday as well. So IGV on the softer side. Never quite got to that double top there on the weekly. It still can. It's nothing to say it can't, but pretty good reversal. Pretty decent reversal on the weekly. It didn't engulf the whole candle, but it engulfed the body. So, we'll just respect it, but it's nothing terrible. At least not yet for cloud software. Dow Transport's definitely on the weaker side. 1 3/4 down. Also, this is very close to a weekly engulfing. At the same time, I'm not too upset with it. And there's the bell. I'm not too upset with it because you're still inside of this wide range green bar. So this has plenty of room to firm up. I like the moving averages, 20 above the 50, 50 above the 100, 100 above the 200. Trend is back up on it. That's your positive, but definitely a down and definitely a weak week. Definitely a weaker week for the DJT here. We still have higher lows right now. So, all right, interest rates, again, you can imagine that they were green, given the fact that PPI confirmed CPI. And the 2-year, guess what? Went right to target. So we can get rid of that now. It played out to target. That doesn't mean it's going to go down. I don't think it's going down. I think if you just consolidate through this chop zone, you will go higher. And if that happens, let's just say we go up to 5%. I'm telling you, the Fed's not going to be able to cut. Because if they cut by 50 basis points, then the 2-year yield is going to be exactly on the Fed funds rate. That's not something that can realistically happen. 5-year, again, got through this little chop zone. If that pushes up, we got another level at 4.5, 4.55. And I do expect that to get hit. 10s, again, same pattern. If that pushes up, it's going to 4.5, 4.6. 30s, if that can consolidate and push up, you got 4.6 and then 4.75. I want to show you the futures and I want to show you TLT. You guys know I love my inside bar patterns, and what I love even more is a failure. And TLT, that is a failure. So closing below 93.53 on a weekly. That's a weekly chart too. The one I'm watching right now, and I'm not going to be able to do this video, but you can watch it later, is ZB, which is the 30-year bond futures. It is right literally on to the exact tick, 118.09. So above, below that by 5 p.m. Determines the ZB's fate. Now, even if this does hold up, the 10-year is already likely going to fail, right? So there's the level on the 10-year, unless we get a monster bid right now. And you can see here the TNX weekly bearish inside bar failed. TYX weekly bearish inside bar failed. So, you've got like 4 out of 5. If ZB gets saved, it's not like that's going to all of a sudden turn it around. So again, yields don't look like they want to go lower. And that thesis is still intact. XHB down about $1.20, nothing terrible there. Let's just leave it alone. The trend is still up. That is still okay. VNQ on the weaker side, but it did get saved again. So again, weekly is still kind of, and I actually don't mind that weekly candle. It's actually pretty decent. I would call that a test candle. Spiked the low and then closed back inside of the green. That's not terrible. So VNQ is actually still safe here. If we close below 83.24 on a weekly, then I change my mind. But not bad price action right now. XLF inside day, it still can go to $40. KRE down 51 cents. I don't like the weekly pattern there. KBE got saved. That one's okay. And then broker dealers new highs, but it did come in off the highs a little bit. But again, trend is up and it's still acting well. All right, over to energy. Crude has been surprisingly strong. I said the other day that I would think this would be a pivot, at least a pivot high and the local pivot high, and that's been the case right now. We have not made new highs, but if this consolidates a little bit more, it's going to go through that, and it's going to trigger an inverse head and shoulders. So crude is acting well, and there's no problems here that I can see with oil futures. XLE did just tick down. It was green all day long, so just ticked down at the last second. But overall, pause day after a big surge. This can still get to 87 here in the short term, but it might consolidate a little bit. If it does, then 87 becomes minor and it can go higher than that. XOP, that was flat to higher. Again, pause candle after a big surge yesterday, no problems. OIH, again, right into that trend line, fractionally lower on the day. You guys know I like this. We can break through that trend line. This has some good upside. CCJ down 14 cents. Oh man, look what they did. So take a look here. Right by about that much, 42.18. And yeah, so they saved it by like 20 cents. 41.95 was the low, and it's saved. So we'll leave it at that for now. It does look like, yeah, and we closed above, wow, look at that, 1 penny above this pivot high too. So by the skin of its teeth, URNM is fine. Daily chart's a little bit weaker here, but the weekly is still very strong. Nat gas finally had a green day. I don't know if this wants to put in a low. I didn't really see any bottoming signal on it. I guess we'll find out next week. They tend to gap this thing down Sunday nights, so we'll see if that can initiate capitulation. I want to see spike. I want to see a spike down. I want to see this move away. So maybe it's starting to try to curl back up. It's finally above that hourly 50 MA, but you see how this is an orderly decline? I want to see it go away. That's how you get capitulation. But there's nothing to say. I guess it could just curl back up. You are like insanely diverged. There's your daily RSI, but look at your 4 hour. This is like ridiculous. So, at some point it might just say, all right, that's enough. But the reason I'm interested is because when this rallies, it rallies like 50, 60% in a matter of weeks. But you need to see a bottoming signal. You don't need to catch the first 2-3%. Dollar index actually backed off quite a bit. It looks like it bounced green towards the last minute of the day. Yeah, fractionally higher. Inside of this green, no real problems unless we're back below 103.50. Dollar index holding up. Gold also holding up as well. I think a lot of this is just OPEX related. The fact that it was bidding with yields up and dollar mostly green, even though it went red for a fraction of the day. I think a lot of it has to do with OPEX. But, gold, decent bounce. Silver did have a decent bounce as well. Little outside move there. So we're holding this trend line, and it's acting well, a little higher high. Right now, I'll just say about 24 is going to be resistance. And then through that, 24.50. Again, I'm not too bullish on it yet, as long as yields are bullish still. But it's showing good relative strength here. Platinum had a decent day, up $9. That's 1% there. So that's curling back up. Palladium, little pause candle down 80 cents, nothing terrible. Copper was a big winner, $1.80, or excuse me, 1.8%. And again, we'll say 390. You could make a case there's a little trend line like right here, or right around that 390 area. So we'll see if it gets up there. But it did negate that head and shoulders the other day. So, all right, Bitcoin still acting well. So just a pause, 1-2 pause there, and there's no real problems. If it starts to sell off and you lose 48, I'd just say 48 even. It definitely would be like a minor red flag of a kind of a false breakout. But right now, there's no problems. It's stalling out. Why? Because it should stall out here. Right? There's a big pivot going back to 2021, multiple pivots, and a giant wide range red bar here going back to 2021. So that's why it's stalling out there. But this weekly pattern was beautiful and it played out nicely. So Bitcoin just probably needs to stall out, do some backing and filling. And after that, nothing to say. It doesn't go back up. All right, so again, good little whipsaw there, good little decline. Looks like we closed right at 50.05 for the end of the day. Again, we won't make too much out of it. We knew that was gonna be a magnet going into today, so we're not gonna say like, oh, it was a big reversal or anything like that. But definitely, I've said this multiple times recently. This stock specifically is my gauge of risk, and it closed literally at the exact low of the day, like to the tick, pretty much. So. Down 20%. So we'll see. Jensen Wang's got to deliver. That's what it comes down to. But right now, face value, trend is still up. Watch that rising wedge, though. I've seen a lot of them lately, and they've been playing out. So just keep that in the back of your mind here. But as long as you're above this trend line, I think markets are still okay for now. So anyways, guys, going to wrap up here. You guys take care. Have a great 3-day weekend. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com. I'll talk to you guys all next week.